Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans, droids, and all of you Ki-Adi-Mundi Lightspeed Bundle looking individuals to today's video where you know what? We need to sit down. We need to have a conversation about this because this is going to be something that's going to be a part of the Galaxy Heroes culture for a long time. Who knows, probably for the remaining years that this game has. We need to have this discussion about our Lightspeed bundles hurting Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I see this conversation boil up a lot, especially with every new Lightspeed bundle that comes to fruition in this game. Let's go sit down, have ourselves a pro cons list on why Lightspeed bundles are both a good and bad thing. I think what I can safely say is that overall, I want to believe that Lightspeed bundles for people, if I could somehow take a temperature, are overall taken very positively. And yours truly is very positive about Lightspeed bundles and overall what they do, as we're going to discuss here today. But there are people that get really ticked off, and you have to sympathize with these opinions that we're going to kind of, regurgitate here on some of the downsides that come along with Lightspeed bundles. And the other day, we actually ranked the Lightspeed bundles, and I kind of saw this conversation boil up a little bit here and there, even before doing this video. If you want to watch it, we go crazy in depth on all these cards in the top right-hand corner. It was a fun video. I'm not sure it's helpful because these Lightspeed bundles, we don't know when they come back. And here's the other thing about Lightspeed bundles. Let me put this out there right away. I think we can all agree on whether you like or dislike Lightspeed bundles. When it comes to all the offers that this game has ever had in Galaxy Heroes history, all these Lightspeed bundles are in the top 1%, maybe even like 0.5% of offerings in this game. And really all this listed was kind of zoom in on that 0.5% top offers in this game. And then you kind of split the hairs between them. Even though there's an S tier and an F tier that we have in here, they're all fantastic offerings. I think that's the one thing pretty much everyone can agree on. When you look at all the other offers in the game, they don't come close to what you get here. So with that said, let's kind of draft up our pros and cons list. And I actually kind of want to start off with the bad side of things. The reason why this video kind of got motivated to make a video on this, I feel like we've never really sat down and had this conversation. Lightspeed bundles have been here over for a year now. They kind of come and gone. Different things have shown up. Some have repeated, some haven't repeated here. The biggest thing about Lightspeed bundles that is going to be the biggest detractor is it greatly penalizes people who spent money to pass or people who invested their time and effort, their Kyrotechs, free to play in this game. Like, I want you guys to just imagine for a second. Just recently, we had the Ki-Adi-Mundi bundle, which I don't think it was the greatest bundle of all time. I actually really hate the Ki-Adi-Mundi bundle, mainly because it shouldn't have been a Lightspeed bundle to begin with. It should have been a unit that was a lot easier to access in this game, but they purposely made it so complicated to get, and no one really wants to spend their Get 3 currency to get this guy up and running. So the Lightspeed bundle was made to kind of make up for CG's inaccessibility to this character. That's the reason why I hate it. It's a valuable bundle if you look at how much time it's going to save you, because you might never get this character. It's one of the most exclusive units in this game, and it shouldn't have been the case. Regardless, moving away from that, I want you to imagine the people who farmed Ki-Adi-Mundi with Get 3 currency. Against my own opinion, they farmed Ki-Adi-Mundi with their guild event token currency. And as you know, it's not a very cheap character to get up and running. 5 shards requires 2,125 of the currency. That's not cheap. And as you know, the trade-off is you're sacrificing loads of Kyrotech to get Ki-Adi-Mundi. And as I've said in previous times, he is not worth the amount of Kyrotech you need to sacrifice. But we never know when Ki-Adi-Mundi is going to be required. But imagine you're farming Ki-Adi-Mundi the normal way. You're going through the Get 3 currency, and you just unlocked him. Just to see a few days later, the Lightspeed bundle comes out. You have to admit, that is a horrible feeling to have to endure months and the huge trade-off just for it to be sold for $20 afterwards, saving people time and the Kyrotechs, and just from investing the Kyrotechs into him. And then, of course, the Kyrotechs that you could have gotten with the Get 3 currency. It screws people over, plain and simple. Same thing when the Rey and Spirit of Kylo Ren bundle came out. This is when the conversation was at an all-time high. People who spent money to get Kylo Ren. Remember when Spirit of Kylo Ren came out? It was like $1,000 thing if you wanted to get him day one. Same thing of Rey with all the ship stuff and all the character stuff, the relics that you need to get up and running. And for people to get it for $10, again, I think that's great, as I'm going to go in the pros list later on. It really screws people over that invested their time and resource, whether they're pay to play or free to play. Again, when these bundles came out, some people are like, oh, dude, I just unlocked Kylo, or I'm just about to unlock Kylo, and they dropped this. I would have bought this. They could have used their Kyrotechs into other avenues. They could have saved their relics. for other things out there. So this is the biggest thing, is that it penalizes people for playing the game the normal way and the hard way, the long way, in order to go through this. Gary, don't you dare make a joke out of the hard and long here, okay? Yay! Okay, all right, Gary, okay. Get your mind out of the gutter and get out of here. Anyways, that is the biggest detriment by far with all this. But there's kind of a second, I guess going back there, there's kind of an extension of that. I don't know the numbers. I can't say it's a big population, but you have to imagine that has caused maybe some people to quit. You get, like, especially you put all this time and effort in just for it to be nullified by $10. I have to imagine that has caused some people to quit. What number? It's always a balancing act. No matter what update CG does, it's going to cause people to leave, but also bring people in. So it's always a balancing act. I don't know what that number is, but still, nonetheless, losing people over that kind of sucks. I know a handful of people, but nothing on as great as the benefit of Lightspeed bundles. The next issue that we have with Lightspeed bundles is it causes what I like to call light freezing. I don't know if that's the best way to call it. What I mean by that is with the introduction of Lightspeed bundles, this could be a good or bad thing, but it's kind of caused some people to freeze up and not want to invest in things because of reason number one, where you're sitting there and you're like, let's say, for example, let's say you're looking at, Sith Eternal Emperor, right? One of the older Galactic Legends. You gotta admit, some people are like, oh, I don't know if I wanna, especially if you're on the newer side, mid-game-ish side, you never made your way around to it. Some people are like, why should I waste my resources when there's a chance they'll sell all this stuff for $10? And we don't know if they're ever going to. They set the bar incredibly high with the first Lightspeed bundles, and I think, again, they're all great, but over time, they've become less and less valuable compared to the first generation of Lightspeed bundles. But you never know when they're gonna release another Galactic Legend, so it causes people to freeze up and not invest in things, especially older things in the game. We see a trend that most of the Lightspeed bundles are targeted towards older things, the newer one being maybe Star Killer, which has newer units. Everything else is a little bit older, but same thing with Jedi Master Luke, although there are some Lightspeed bundles that already kind of feed into him. So people are waiting for maybe a Lightspeed bundle that indirectly or directly helps them out in some of their grinds in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. But let's say, for example, Imperial Troopers, you want to get them running, but oh man, I'm too worried about building up my troopers because what if they just release a Lightspeed bundle like this? Why should I farm my Wampa if they're gonna release one? Why should I farm Herbert Yoda if they're gonna release one? And that could be perceived as a problem because you're not making forward progression in this game. You just kind of sit and you just kind of wait for the next Lightspeed bundle. I'll tell you guys this. I think the bad side about that is that you might be waiting forever, and maybe you're fine with that. That's totally cool if you're fine with just waiting forever and you just want to jump from Lightspeed bundle to Lightspeed bundle, but you're not able to engage with the newer stuff in the game. And I think what I could maybe semi-promise you guys is I don't think we should expect Lightspeed bundles for newer things in the game. Like, I think people keep waiting for a Jabba the Hutt Lightspeed bundle. I don't know if we're going to see a Jabba the Hutt Lightspeed bundle anytime soon. Same thing with Galactic Legend Leia, Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano. If anything, is we're going to kind of discuss with the pros, the older stuff may get a Lightspeed bundle, but you should at least focus on the newer stuff because you're going to be waiting a long time before you might see a Reva Lightspeed bundle, or you might see a Jedi Knight Cal Kestis Lightspeed bundle. Those are a little too new on the radar, I think, but who knows? CG could possibly blow us away. And the biggest downside of Lightspeed bundles too is that this is not as big as the other ones. It's kind of a good problem to have. One of the biggest detriments of Lightspeed bundles is, well, you start engaging in some serious crunches in this game. The good news about Lightspeed bundles, they address a variety of the Kyrotech problem, the relic problems, but the thing that you're gonna have to look out for are the Zeta problems. Now, if you're someone farming the old-fashioned way, it's gonna take you months to get your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren up and running. And the good news is, while you spend the months naturally progressing towards him, you kind of naturally you accrue the Zetas over time to apply on the characters that you need. Whereas if you buy the Lightspeed bundle, you go into a big crunch, and that I've seen turn off a lot of people. They think they just buy it, they're good to go with their Zetas, and they're not. You need to apply Zetas and all these other things, mods especially. You don't get mods with these Lightspeed bundles. I don't think this is as much of an issue with some of the newer Lightspeed bundles because they're not as many characters. We had incredible amount of characters with the Resistance and the First Order Lightspeed bundles that first came out. But one of the downsides of this, it's kind of you solve one problem, but you expedite the other problem. You got to make up on months backlog of Zetas that you didn't do naturally. So that's a problem. It's not as big as problem one. and problem 2. So those are the 3 downsides of, I think, Lightspeed bundles in general. Screwing people over who farm or paid the old-fashioned way, and also kind of freezing people, not encouraging them to do anything in this game, not making that forward progression. And then number 3, there's kind of this inadvertent gear crunch, not gear crunch, Zeta and mod crunch that comes along with it. But now we move into the pros of the Lightspeed bundle. I have personal experience, anecdotal, it's anecdotal, so keep in mind, it's not gonna represent everyone, but I think a lot of us can, relate to it. The Lightspeed bundle addresses one of the biggest problems in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. If I'm a new player coming to the game and I see how far behind I am, that would discourage a lot of people. And this is a big problem because new player retention is a very difficult thing to do. It's very hard to get new players into the game, keep them engaged. I've seen before Lightspeed bundles came out, several people in my friend and family group that are massive Star Wars fans, they were like, oh, this game's too boring. The tutorial was too slow. It was boring, which they've addressed that. So that's a whole different problem. But they see how far behind they are, and they want to play the cool stuff right away. Lightspeed bundles give an avenue for people to access older things in the game instantly, saving them months of progress. And I only can imagine this helps with holding new player retention. If you gave someone the opportunity to get a really good Galactic Legend, well, we're going to talk about, I guess, kind of a final point that I bring up all the time. But if you could get a new person, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, for $10, and you're going to add a little bit more to get the Finalizer bundle. Let's be real, you need the ships as well to get the full thing. So let's just say $20, $30, whatever it is. A lot of people would do that just so they can engage in high-end power immediately, being able to engage in the variety of content. People don't want to be just playing light side and dark side battles for the end of time. They want to play grand arenas. They want to have some good stuff to play inside the territory battles and all the territory wars and whatnot. So that helps people get engaged coming in. Next thing that's really important besides new player retention is the fact that the current players that are playing the game, they're going to be even more engaged and get things that they probably would never ever have went out of their way to build up here. So let's take, for example, the Night Sisters. I think a lot of us can agree with things like Night Sisters. I like the Night Sister bundle. Again, will it ever come back? I have no idea. It should come back for Halloween. It's really hard to kind of make your time to come back around to this faction when there are just more important teams, more necessary teams for a variety of legendaries and galactic legends. Being able to go out and just get the Lightspeed bundle, $10, $15, whatever it was for Night Sister, get an entire faction up and running is huge. It's also an amazing addition because we often min-max in this game. And what that means is you try to find that sweet spot where you don't overinvest, you don't underinvest, you just want just that sweet spot. For example, the Beskar Mando event. You really don't want to go beyond these minimum gear levels. That my free-to-play account at very low gear levels. But the problem is, when do you make the time to come back to build them up again? So this is a great opportunity to kind of supplement current players with older stuff so they can focus on the newer stuff in the game. So that's another great benefit here. It fills in those farms that you might not ever get around to. And again, I wish I could open up the faucet and spend. I would have bought the Night Sister bundle. I would have bought the Beskar Mando bundle and a variety of other ones, like I'm sure a lot of you guys have had the honor of doing so. So that's going to be a really good thing in that regard. And we got one more thing that I really want to highlight. We already kind of touched base on it. Being able to just focus on the newer stuff in the game. So we talked about new player retention, being able to fill in things you won't do. And what that lets you do is it lets you focus on the future of Galaxy Heroes. Galaxy Heroes, what they're trying to do with the recent updates and speeding up the tutorial, the Lightspeed bundles, they're trying to get people closer to where the new generation of Galaxy of Heroes is, with the more recent Galactic Legends, more recent Legendary events, the territory battles and whatnot, even let's say Conquest and Datacron. They're trying to move you forward more because the faster you get the 4 million GP, you're now a permanent resident of Galaxy of Heroes. So this lets you focus on the future of Galaxy Heroes. We said it's also kind of a bad thing, so you kind of get frozen up, you don't want to do anything, but it allows you to, for example, because of Lightspeed bundles, people have told me, man, now that I have, these variety of bundles out here, I can focus on Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano because I'm caught up on all these other backlog projects that I want to do. So it helps me focus on the future of the game. Because again, as we said, you're likely not going to see a Lightspeed bundle for Galactic Legend Ahsoka or Jabba or Leia, maybe even Master Kenobi and Lord Vader. But if you can just say, hey, all right, you know, when a Lightspeed bundle comes around, it's going to supplement some of the older stuff that I haven't gotten around to, cool. It allows me to focus on the future. And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to look forward to the future of Galaxy Heroes. You want to be excited to be able to put your resources towards something new. I mean, let's be real. It's more fun to get the newer thing than to invest in something that's old. Not to say that Imperial Troopers aren't fun, or Night Sisters, or, you know, a variety of other things like that, or Star Killer, for example. But being able to just pay the $10, catch up, and you're going to get tons of value for that $10, $20, whatever the price point might be. It lets you focus on the newer and cooler stuff. And the sooner you get the newer and cooler things by all those Kyrotech savings, with all those relic saving, you're able to kind of maintain that competitiveness in the end game, being able to go farther up in the Grand Arena brackets. By the sooner you get Galactic Legend of Ahsoka Tano, the better. But no matter the pros and cons here, I personally, as I said, I am a big fan of lightsaber battles. My philosophy when it comes to, you know, games in general, and especially Star Wars and Galaxy of Heroes, I'm always in the camp of I want this game to be accessible and enjoyable by as many people as possible. It was always kind of hard, you know, it was always kind of, disappointing, Gary, when some of my best friends would play and they're like, they're big Star Wars fans, but the game was too boring, was too slow. They had, you know, stupid characters. They want to be engaged right away. And now with the lightsaber bundles, it got them more involved in the game. It got them into the, you know, the higher echelons of enjoying some of the cooler stuff that this game has to offer. Focus on the newer things that Galaxy Heroes has to bring. And again, if people, you know, as someone who's farmed Supreme Kylo Ren for free on my free-to-play account, as someone who spent money on my main account, it makes me happy to see that we can kind of move people along into the game. Give it the, I always think of this, why should they suffer when I suffer? Why should they, even just because I suffer doesn't mean they have to. I want them to get the best experience possible, and this kind of spills into other things in the game. You know, being able to, for example, some people are mad that, you know, TIE Bomber is super accessible. Some people are mad that Grief Karga, Mando were recently added, which made them even more accessible inside the Galactic War Star. I'm a big advocate, a big fan, especially in a free-to-play mobile game where often there's a paywall. Being able to get people to move beyond the old paywalls, at least kind of get to where we are in the more recent times, I'm a big fan of it. But again, I completely acknowledge the biggest downside, which is the lightsaber bundles really screw over people who were in close proximation of when a lightsaber bundle came out and they just finished something. That is a horrible feeling, and unfortunately, someone's always gonna get screwed. When a lightsaber bundle comes out with, you know, the hundreds of thousands of players, it's like what, 300,000 total players in the game, I think, concurrent when they play. Someone's gonna get screwed over. Last thing I want to end on before we wrap up this video, Capital Games, I've said this time and time and time again. We talked a lot about new player retention. When a new player comes to the game, they might see some of these videos and they want to get access to this stuff. They want to give them your money so they can kind of overcome all these older hurdles. I really think there should be a tab for Lightspeed bundles. I don't know, that's permanently there. So if someone wants to come and get the Rey bundle, the Supreme Kylo Ren bundle, they have the opportunity to do so. But otherwise, as of now, we kind of just got to wait until they randomly show their lovely heads in this game. And who knows if we'll get repeats of Supreme Kylo Ren and all those other great Lightspeed bundles. But you know what's great, people? You guys are great. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. Again, I think most of you guys would agree that Lightspeed bundles are overall a good thing in the game. But, you know, I often hear that sentiment. Oh, Lightspeed bundles are going to kill Galaxy of Heroes. I'm in the camp that thinks it's quite the opposite. I think if Lightspeed bundles done right, priced right, I think it's gonna, if anything, benefit the game more, because as you know, here's the real deal. People that are in the game, they only have us for so long. People are gonna start dropping like flies, and we need new people coming into the game that are gonna enjoy it over time to keep that nice, steady, fresh blood into our Galaxy of Heroes dynasty that we have here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Looking forward to your comments, and more importantly, I always look forward to saying how it's great to be in the Empire today.
Great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.